My in-laws were drunk at the wedding, and they didn't seem to care who noticed. Guests whispered and exchanged glances, but that didn't stop them. Suddenly, they turned their attention to me, raising their voices in front of everyone. "It's too late now that you're married," Larry's father slurred, "but if you want to be part of this family, you need to prove you have the money to keep up." "That's right," his mother chimed in. "Starting now, we expect a $1,000 monthly bonus. Think of it as your membership fee." I stood frozen, stunned by their demands. I couldn't believe they would humiliate me like this, on my wedding day, no less. My face went pale, and I couldn't find any words. Then my father stepped in, took the microphone from them, and spoke with calm authority. "That's enough. Can't you see how shameful you're being?" he said firmly. "You're embarrassing yourselves. My name is Linda, and I'm a 30-year-old office worker. I'm engaged to Larry, who's 32. We met through a mutual friend who thought I'd been alone for too long and decided to play matchmaker. Larry asked me out several times before I said yes. At first, I didn't feel any spark. I'd always guarded my heart, maybe too closely. I lost my mother when I was very young, and my father raised me alone, working tirelessly to give me a stable life. Losing my mom left a lasting scar, and I never fully let anyone in after that. Because of this, I hadn't had a serious relationship since my school days. I even thought I might stay single forever, and I was okay with that. But Larry was patient. He never gave up. He was kind, respectful, and consistent. Gradually, his warmth began to melt the walls I'd built around my heart. We started dating, and before long, I realized how happy he made me feel. He became someone I could truly rely on. Then he proposed. Larry always made me feel safe. "You don't have to worry, Linda," he would say. "If you're unsure or afraid, I'll stay by your side until you feel okay again. I love you, you can count on me." His words moved me deeply. If he was willing to devote himself so fully to me, I wanted to do the same for him. When I told my dad about the engagement, he cried. "Wow, Linda, you're finally getting married," he said through tears. "I'm so happy for you." "Dad, come on, don't get so emotional," I laughed, trying to lighten the mood. "You've never talked like this before," he said. "I always wondered if you'd find someone." "You did?" I asked, surprised. "Of course. Every father worries about his daughter." "Thanks, Dad." That moment meant everything to me. He had raised me on his own and was now giving me away with pride. I knew I'd probably cry at the wedding, and I was certain my dad would too. Larry and I dove headfirst into wedding planning. We were both working full-time, so weekends were crammed with appointments, fittings, and endless to-do lists. Life became a whirlwind of calendars and countdowns. On one of our few free days, we planned a visit to Larry's parents' home. It would be my first time meeting them. Larry had met my dad right after proposing, but I hadn't yet had the chance to meet his family. Our schedules just never aligned. As we pulled up to the house, I felt a sudden wave of nerves. "Don't worry," Larry said, squeezing my hand. "They're kind." His reassurance helped a little, and I rang the doorbell. His mother answered. "Mom, I'm home," Larry said. "Welcome home, Larry." "So glad you came," she replied warmly, to him. Then she turned to me. Her smile vanished. "So, you're Linda," she said flatly, eyes scanning me from head to toe. Her tone had dropped several degrees colder. She led us into the living room, where the temperature in the air seemed to match her mood. "Linda," she began, "I need to ask, what exactly do you bring to this relationship? Larry is our only son and our greatest treasure. Are you truly worthy of him?" Her words hit like ice water. I hadn't expected a warm embrace, but this felt like an interrogation. "You're about to join our family," she added. "Are you even ready for that kind of responsibility?" It wasn't like I was marrying into royalty, or some storied legacy family. Larry's parents weren't nobility. I wasn't even planning to live with them. Why was I being asked to prove my worth as though this were a business transaction? I struggled to find the right words. Her glare only sharpened. "Well? Don't just sit there. It's rude to keep someone waiting," she snapped. "I asked if you were ready." I hope Larry and I can support each other in our marriage, I finally managed to say. Her eyes narrowed. What a naive thing to say. It's not about mutual support, you're the wife. Your job is to support him. That's your role. Honestly, I'm not sure you even understand the basics. Her husband, who had been quietly observing, stepped in. That's enough, he said gently. Sorry, Linda. Don't mind my wife, she's just very protective. I understand, I replied, keeping my composure. Maybe she was just nervous. Maybe she didn't mean to come across so harshly. Just then, Larry's older brother entered. He had a soft voice and a kind expression, which momentarily put me at ease. But that feeling didn't last. Still smiling, he said calmly, actually, my wife's concerns are valid. What worries me most is that you come from a single-parent household. I blinked, unsure I'd heard him right. Excuse me? What do you mean by that? I'm sorry, what do you mean by that? I asked, trying to mask my confusion. Larry's brother offered a tight-lipped smile, as if he were explaining something obvious. Well, let's be honest, coming from a single-parent household doesn't reflect well. It's not exactly ideal for someone marrying into our family, is it? I blinked in disbelief. Wait a minute, I said, my voice steady but firm. What's wrong with being raised by a single parent? My father worked incredibly hard to raise me alone. I'm proud of the way I was brought up, and I'm deeply grateful to him. That doesn't make me any less of a person. But they didn't back down. Well, Larry's mother added, without a mother around, you probably never learned how to be a proper wife, things like housework, for example. I held back my frustration and responded as calmly as I could. Actually, I did plenty of housework growing up to help my father. I can cook, clean, and take care of myself just fine. Please don't make assumptions about my abilities. But it was like talking to a wall. Larry's mother continued, unfazed, fine, I'll allow the marriage, but only if you promise to devote everything to us, because we are Larry's parents. Can you promise that? Her words stunned me. What, are you serious? I asked, trying to make sense of it. Of course, she said coldly. You came here asking for our permission to marry our son. Surely you understand what that entails? Before I could respond, they continued speaking over me. It felt less like a conversation and more like a performance, one in which I was not allowed a voice. Later that night, the weight of everything hit me. I needed to talk to Larry. Larry, I asked cautiously, do your parents always talk to people like that? He looked at me, unbothered. What about it? I was taken aback. Well, I mean, what they said to me earlier was hurtful. Don't you think it was a bit much? They were just asking if you're ready to get married, he replied with a shrug. I understand that parents worry about their children, I said, but questioning my background and saying I wasn't raised properly, that's not okay. They didn't mean any harm, Larry insisted. Besides, they gave us their blessing, that's what matters. That's true, but, my voice trailed off. I couldn't help feeling disappointed. Larry didn't seem to see anything wrong with their behavior. Sensing my unease, he pulled me into a hug. Don't worry so much. My parents are just a little emotional. Their only son is getting married. After all, they just want the best for us. I see, I murmured. Maybe he was right, they had high expectations. But was it fair to look down on me just because I was raised by my father? Was that really what it meant to be concerned? Frankly, I didn't think people who said such things made a good example of a strong couple. In the end, we were the ones getting married, not them. So, I decided not to let their opinions ruin everything. Eventually, our wedding day arrived. Friends, family, co-workers, and our bosses gathered to celebrate. I walked down the aisle on my father's arm, the man who had always stood by me. Larry and I exchanged vows and rings as applause filled the air. For the first time, the joy of the day washed over me. I was truly getting married. The reception was vibrant, full of laughter and old memories. Videos of our journey played, and I caught up with friends I hadn't seen in years. Despite my lingering worries about his parents, I was glad I'd gone through with it. It felt like a beautiful, unforgettable day. After the ceremony, we planned to register our marriage officially. I was ready to move forward with our new life as husband and wife. Then came the final part of the event, the family greeting line. That's when my uneasiness returned. Larry's parents were clearly drunk. They stumbled as they stood, faces flushed bright red. A few guests asked if they were all right, but we just needed to finish the ceremony. The MC handed the microphone to Larry and me. but before we could speak, Larry's mother snatched my hand and bellowed like she was announcing a wrestling match. "Listen up, Linda, after this wedding, your life belongs to us. Prepare yourself, we're going to test you." Gasps and giggles rippled through the room. Some guests assumed it was a joke, but it wasn't. Then Larry's father took the microphone. "Linda, that dress doesn't suit you at all. Be honest, don't you feel embarrassed?" His mother chimed in, nodding vigorously. The mood in the hall shifted, whispering spread through the crowd. I looked at Larry, desperate for him to say something, anything. But he just looked away. "They're not doing anything wrong," he muttered. In that moment, it hit me like a punch to the chest. He would never stand up to them. Not for me, not even now. And then, the final blow came. Still swaying on their feet, Larry's parents launched into one last tirade. "You're married now, so if you want to be in this family, you'd better prove you can afford it," they said. "Once the paperwork's done, we expect a few thousand every month, plus your entire bonus." I was stunned. I couldn't believe they were airing this at our wedding reception. My face went pale. That's when my father stepped forward and took the microphone. "That's enough," he said firmly, yet with grace. "Don't you realize how ridiculous you sound?" Larry's parents turned their glare on him. "How dare you interrupt us?" his father sneered. "I knew that woman's father wouldn't be any good. Single parents are all the same, worthless." That was the last straw. My father stayed calm but resolute. "You people are even more disgraceful than I imagined. You refused to meet me just because I raised my daughter alone. I assumed his employees would be decent as well," my father added calmly. At that, my father-in-law's face changed instantly. The smugness drained from him. How do you know President Scott?" he stammered. My father looked him in the eye. "He's a business partner of my company, and more importantly, an old friend. And by the way, President Scott was also raised by a single mother, so in insulting me, you just insulted the president of the very company you work for." You could almost hear a pin drop. My in-laws' faces went pale. Reality finally caught up to them. I apologize, sir," my father-in-law stuttered, dropping to his knees. "Please, don't tell the president. I beg you." It was a bizarre sight. Moments ago, he was barking orders like a king. Now, he looked utterly defeated. Some guests laughed awkwardly, and others even started recording the scene on their phones. My father remained composed. "Apologies don't erase what you said," he replied quietly. Then he turned to me and asked, "Would you like to go home?" I didn't hesitate. "Yes." I gently took the microphone from Larry's hand. My voice was steady. "Thank you, everyone, for coming today, and thank you for the entertainment," I said, glancing at Larry and his parents. "But there will be no marriage. I'll return every yen you contributed to this event." Gasps rippled through the room, but I didn't look back. I walked out of the hall with my father by my side. In the corner of my eye, I saw Larry frozen, his parents distraught, and his relatives rushing in to do damage control. The reception was likely in complete chaos. Over the next few days, I returned all the money and gifts, personally apologizing to each guest. To my surprise, nearly everyone offered words of encouragement. Many praised my father and me for standing up for ourselves and said it was better to end it than be trapped in such a toxic family. It didn't take long for word to spread. Larry's coworkers talked, and soon his reputation at work took a hit. People criticized his weakness and failure to stand up for his fiancée. The shame must have been too much. He resigned soon after, voluntarily, of course. As for his father, President Scott did hear about the incident. After all, it involved his name. Larry's father was swiftly demoted and transferred to an obscure division in the countryside. From what I hear, even their extended family has cut ties with them. It was unfortunate, but they brought it on themselves. In contrast, my relationship with my father only grew stronger. We began spending more quality time together. The bond we shared, one forged through years of mutual support, meant more to me than ever. One evening, he sat me down. "Linda," he began, "have you ever thought about taking over the company someday?" I looked at him, surprised. "You mean, becoming president?" He nodded with a quiet smile. "I think you're ready to start walking that path." It was a huge step, but I also felt ready for a new challenge. "I'll do my best," I told him, and I meant it. From that moment on, I shifted my focus. No more drama, no more distractions. I poured myself into learning the business, its operations, its people, its values. It was demanding work, but it gave me purpose. Looking back on that chaotic wedding, it feels like a different life. I'm grateful the marriage was never legally registered. I dodged not just a mistake, but a life of compromise, stress, and emotional neglect. Now, I'm on a clear, fulfilling path. I'm proud of where I came from, and even more excited about where I'm going. I know the road ahead won't be easy, but I welcome it. I'll do my best to be a strong leader, like my dad, someone I admire more than anyone else. So, if you followed me through this story, thank you. And if you took something away from it, strength, perspective, a reminder to value yourself, I hope you carry it forward in your own life. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed this story. Until next time.